So basically, we'll just run through what we've got on the timeline here first. But what we're talking about is basically dipping the music when the voice comes in here. So we have a music track in the background here, and then a bit of an interview answer here. And at the moment, what you'll find if you just kind of throw this out there is that the music's going to fight lots and lots with the voice. So basically, the voice is going to be inaudible because we've got this music in the background. Okay, the first thing to do before we even think about dipping the audio is to make sure that our voice mix is right. So if we right click on our music track and disable it by unchecking enable, then it will turn it off. So it's not going to remove it from the timeline, it's just going to turn it off. And that will mean we can play back our voice track and just see that it's hovering around that -12, so we know we've got it at the right level. And you can use that as a guide, so you can pick it up a little more or drop it down, but if it's hovering around that -12, you've got a kind of good clear sound for the most part. And to bring that up, I actually did adjust the audio level here. So basically you can pull up the audio levels and you can see there's a little grey box at the bottom there that's showing me how much I've adjusted it by. Okay, so it's around 5 decibels increase. When it was at 0, which would be the default, you can see when I was playing it back, the audio was hovering just a little bit too low. So it's peaking at -12, but it's not hovering around -12. So you want to make sure that you get that audio level up. So whenever I'm editing audio, I'll edit it for speakers. So I'll listen to it on my laptop speakers, on kind of speaker monitors, and also on headphones, just so that you know you've got a good mix for all of those. And it's just good to kind of educate yourself about, you know, how those different things sound, because really good headphones will you'll often hear everything really well, and you'll pick up the voice even if it's not mixed well. But then when you play it on like a laptop speakers, it'll be way worse, and you might find the mix isn't as good. So listening to it on all those different kind of devices is going to be helpful. So the first thing is, when we're mixing the voice in here, we've kind of pulled it up so it's above, hovering around that -12. What I want to do is I want to introduce my voice around this edit point. So if I just zoom in a little bit here, I want to actually have my voice start in this area here so we can hear me speaking before you actually see my face. So we're going to use the ripple tool for that. And if on this edit point, when we're rippling, normally it will ripple the sound and the video. So we're going to kind of mute this audio, but we want to keep that. So if we hold down the Option key and ripple back, it's actually going to do a J-cut. It's called a J-cut. So basically it's bringing in the audio for my voice before we actually see the video. Whoops, a daisy. Okay. I broke it there. So once you've done it once, it will actually put it out of sync a little bit. So you need to undo it and get it right, and then you can tweak it. So basically now my voice is going to kick in there, and then you're going to see me talking. So it's going to kind of give a little bit of a softer introduction. And then at the end we can do the same thing. So if we hold down Option or Alt, drag back, we're stopping the video of me, and we're showing dog on a surfboard on the beach. Okay. So that's the first kind of thing for mixing the audio. If we want to refine that further, if I come to the rolling edit tool now, then you can see it's moving both those audio and video edit points. But if I hold down Option, so you can see it's moving just the video edit point. Okay, we're not moving the videos in time, so it's not going to move the voice and audio out of sync. It's going to keep them in sync. So for the music here, go back to our selection tool, once we've got this re-enabled, basically what we want to do is we want to dip down the audio when the voice comes in. So we don't want to stop the audio dead, we want it to be audible in the background. And actually, if you've got a sound recording and you've got any noise in the background of your sound recording, like forced air or like the hum of a fridge or something like that, then a little bit of music in the background will often help to mask that a little bit. So it'll help to improve or kind of smoke and mirrors approach to fixing your your video, so basically it will hide it. So on here, if we hover over our audio track, and on the Mac we're going to hold down Command, on Windows we'd hold down Control, we can add keyframes here. So I'm adding 2 keyframes at the beginning and then 2 keyframes at the end. Click away, and now when I move this line, it's going to drop down those edit points, those keyframes there. So it's basically dipping the audio down here and then lifting it up at the end. Okay, and one thing when you're doing this you want to make sure is that when the audio dips down, that even then you don't kind of peak out at 0. You never want those red dots to turn on at the top. Okay, and then the rest is just down to listing and making sure the audio is mixed well. Different people will answer questions with a different kind of volume of their voice. So like now I'm projecting so that people at back can hopefully hear me. But if I was just answering a question, I'd probably be answering it a little bit quieter because I'm talking to the person in front of me, not the person kind of 15, 20 feet away. So if we want to remove those keyframes, so we can right click to delete the keyframes, and we've also got some options here as well to ease out, so it'll add a bit of a curve, or to ease in. So it's basically changing the way the kind of audio flows in and out of that. And actually, if you look closely, there's actually some Bezier handles there that are allowing me to have complete control over, you know, how the flow of that is working. You'll probably find that linear works well for the most part for what we're doing here. So just kind of gradually dipping down the audio. You don't want it to feel too abrupt. Sometimes you might want to dip it down, you know, a moment or two before the person starts talking, so it's kind of a slower fade. But then if you want to play more, or you're kind of used to editing with audio, you might play around with some of the Bezier curves or the auto Bezier curves to kind of see what works for you. Okay. So that's a basic overview of how we can kind of mix these two different kind of tracks together, and there's probably a few more things to mention in there. There are some effects in here as well, audio effects for removing or balancing your audio. Okay, we're not going to get into those yet, but again, if you're used to editing with audio, then you might want to have a look at some of those. There's a basic noise removal one. Yeah, so there's a denoiser, which is what I've in the past been used to using, and then there's a denoise plugin. So you can try and use that if you've got noise in your audio. It will allow you to basically try and remove some of the noise in there, and you can do a custom setup of that, which I think involves kind of setting up kind of detection of the noise and stuff like that.